that you said that you wanted to go in to reach out to the young people, exactly kind of what you said just now.
Yeah.
But do you think you did that because in the house, actually, you seemed to alienate all the young people, and you actually ended up hanging out with all the older people and being quite mean?
But they were pretty cool older people.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete Burns is not exactly an old age pensioner.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them at all. But what I'm saying is you alienated the very kind of people that you seem to want to reach out to, in turn alienating a lot of the young people.
Well, we had our moments together and our terrible half hours. You know, there were times when I was the best of chums with the people that have just been
Preston loved you.
me there. Well,
he really did love you.
He kind of did, and he didn't.
No, he really did. He kind of hero worshipped you until
he discovered that I was thinking of nominating him for eviction.
Because I think he was really hurt.
But everybody thinks all the time about nominating everybody for eviction. That's how the game works.
I know, but then you shouldn't have been upset when he was thinking about.
No.
Anyway.
I was upset that they took my rights away. That's all. I expected to be nominated.
Now, you're probably not surprised that MPs have lined up to kind of criticise you, your opponents.
Sure.
And just to let you know, Tony Blair said he hasn't been watching. Right. Can you imagine? Of course he's been watching. Speaker of the House said he has been watching. And the Chief Labour Whip, Hilary Armstrong, launched a petition to get you out of the Big Brother house, saying that your egotistical action showed a shameful lack of respect for the people of your constituency.
Well.
Right, you've got your right to reply. Go for it, George.
Well, the people of my constituency elected me against the advice of Mr. Blair and all his government ministers, who came there every day to try and ensure that I was defeated, but I won. And that's the endorsement that counts, the endorsement of people on the streets of Britain, in Brick Lane, where I hope I'll be later this evening, and later,
having a curry.
Later in the streets of the rest of Britain. That's the proof of the pudding. That's the eating that will count.
Okay, well, let's talk about your housemates.
Yeah.
Right, now the big argument on Monday night, that was a huge turning point for you, I think, George. There was a big argument with Michael in particular, where some quite heated things were said. Did you feel afterwards that maybe you'd taken that a bit too far?
No, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say, and I stand by whatever I said. I was responding to yet another attack by Michael on Dennis. In fact, there was another one just 25 minutes ago.
But can't Dennis is a big boy.
Yeah, but they take advantage.
His own battles.
Yeah, but they take advantage of the fact that he's a 6'8" black American from the ghettos. Yeah, it does, because he doesn't talk in the same way as them.
But that's like saying
he doesn't express himself in the same way as them.
And
there's a bit of this poking through the bars.
But you could say the same about you guys with Chantal.
Oh,
Pete with Chantal.
She's as sharp as a tack.
Well, and you're saying Dennis isn't?
He is, but in a different way. He is in a different way. He's extremely articulate over the long run, but in sharp exchanges in a foreign language, he doesn't do well. And I felt that people were picking on him, and I felt that. Just half an hour ago, Michael started again.
He speaks the same language as us, though.
Well, as Oscar Wilde said, we're two people divided by a common language. And when you're... Look, Dennis has 41 brothers and sisters. 41 brothers and sisters. He was homeless.
What's that got to do with it?
He was homeless for a year and a half in the ghettos of Los Angeles. But he comes from a different background.
He is a grown man. He's extremely successful in his own right. He must have got this far in show business, not just in his professional life, if he couldn't articulate himself.
I just felt that there was a tendency to kind of make Mike Tyson out of him all the time, and I resented that.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's talk about last week. Right, you did say to Preston, I always come to the defence of people that are being picked on.
Yeah.
But an hour later, Pete just completely laid into Tracy in the living room. I'm sure you remember it. It was uncomfortable to watch. I'm sure it was uncomfortable to listen to.
I came into it halfway through, yeah.
Why didn't you say anything?
I did. You've got the tapes.
But you just sat there for a huge amount of time, just letting it happen.
Well, as soon as Pete had left that room, I went into the room he was in and complained angrily about the way that he had treated
But why
her.
didn't you? If I'd been Tracy and I'd sat there, and it wasn't just you, it was Chantal, Preston was there, Preston walked out, none of you stuck up for her, I would want you to stick up for me while I'm there.
Well, the thing is, I came in at least halfway through, and I didn't know what the background to all this was.
It doesn't really matter.
Well, no, he spoke to her in a way that no person should ever speak to anybody.
Good.
And
well, I'm glad you do believe that.
I said
I'm
that
glad
to
you do believe that.
I do believe that.
Because I think he does that a lot, but I think people are frightened of him.
You think?
Were you?
Obviously, I don't... No, not at all. No, I wasn't at all frightened by him. I really respected him.
Do you think?
No.
Someone down here just said, do you fancy him?
No.
For pity's sake.
No,
that's one thing I don't think George is. Now, I'm just going to put this on
I've been
myself.
accused of everything else, but not that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think you're gay.
No.
Now, do you think, George, that you have made any lasting friendships in that house? No.
Yeah, Dennis and Pete, definitely. Dennis and Pete, I think we'll hang out when we can, yeah.
I've so got a vision of you on the beach in Malibu at Dennis's pad. I mean, one of those really big orgy parties.
That's not a bad
Right,
idea.
now, do you think it's possible to ever live in harmony in that house?
I think not. I didn't think that when I went in, but I fairly swiftly formed that impression that it's impossible in the circumstances. And Big Brother goes out of his way to make it impossible.
Difficult.
Yeah, and that's no doubt part of the entertainment. I don't blame him for that. We knew the rules and the background to it when we came in, but it's really impossible. It is unbelievably boring and turgid through long hours and days and nights with the same people with whom you've got very little in common, and you're cut off from the people you love and the things you're interested in. It's very difficult to keep everything on an even keel.
Listening to you now, are you glad you did the show?
Well, not after I've seen those press cuttings. I'll have to hear from my
George, I know
nearest
you
and
can
dearest.
talk your way out of that.
Well, we'll
no
see.
problemo.
Luckily, I'm not standing in any other elections, so that was my last election, and I lost it. Hey.
One final question: what have you learnt about yourself? Have you learnt anything about yourself that possibly you didn't know before you went in?
I thought I could get on with almost everybody Tony Blair accepted, but I certainly couldn't. I thought I could bring people together in a common cause, and I failed. I thought I could live without the news, and I couldn't. So, yeah, I did learn things about myself. I also learned some quite personal things that I'm not going to talk about on television.
I'll look forward to them in your autobiography. George, yeah. I've got to stop you there.
Okay, thanks.
Because here are your best bits.
George Galloway, Member of Parliament. I like to think, as British political figures go, I'm kind of closer to the street than most.
George is trying to run a bit of a socialist dictatorship.
Brothers and sisters.
Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters.
Comrades.
George does my brain in.
We're all doomed. I hope to show that there's nothing extreme about me. You are a wicked person. You're the most self-obsessed person I have ever met.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Nobody will beat me at this game. A slight feeling of bewilderment when a small puppy won't come to you when called. Well, I'm of an age that's not used to hearing young women talk as graphically.
Not for an orgy, George.
Does that sound terribly old-fashioned?
I just adore him, you know. I wish I was like 15 and he could adopt me.
I don't behave in a silly way. Now, would you like me to be the cat?
Yes, a good pussycat, yes. Cream all over your whiskers.
If there's anybody left in here that doesn't want to be out there, I put it to rest.
And I tried to walk the walk by coming in here. I'd be sorry to have lost an election.